do want to give you just a little bit of a heads up about what's in here. The first 2 pages, including the page that's actually reprinted, are mainly their description of the visualization and the recollection of pure meaning. That's the very first one. And the second page is a few additions about the visualization, including the more particulars about the ornaments, as they say, of the Sambhogakaya, the 5 silk and the 8 jewels. There's also a diagram of the lotus, which you have to recall actually gets done like that. And in your package, there's also I think, a do-it-yourself lotus that you can color in and cut out each one, and then when they pop up, it's a pop-up mantra for you. So, and it's a little hokey, but I encourage people to actually do things like this because you actually engage with it a little bit more, and then it's there. And it does take some work to actually learn these practices. Any practice like this, it takes some effort. You actually have to engage in something systematic. If we just show up every Wednesday, just kind of barely running in time and sitting down, it's hard to really get much traction. There's one page that's just the dissolution of the Hri. That's from Bokar Rinpoche's Lord of Love. Here's the page with all the visualizations. There are, I think, 8 total visualizations. Those are all different possibilities for what you can do. And some of them we did today. Others we didn't, but this is also from Lord of Love by Bokar Rinpoche. I have a very creative spelling for visualization there. Then one thing, when we do a more extended version of the practice, then the page, 3 pages with an outline of the visualization, gives a little key to what's going on in those sections. You can see in there are little parentheses like that indicate where you would do a gesture, the mudra like that. But there are other parentheses that indicate root text, and that's just the part that we've been doing plus the refuge, plus the bodhicitta. So this gives kind of a little bit of a overview, so you can kind of keep that in mind. Yep.
So the prayer mudra is just the 2 parens, and
Yeah.
the key points are the one that has the underline?
No, actually, I couldn't figure out. I saw that today, and I couldn't figure out how to make the underline go away. So it's an artifact. Thank you. Yeah, root text says root text, but the difference between this and this with an underline is digital. Then there are some pages for that you can fill in with the Hri, and one page shows how the Hri is built up of pieces, and then how it dissolves at the end. Yes. And a coloring sheet for the mantra. So those are all things there. The main things are the couple of pages at the beginning there that have the most information on them. It does take some time to study. There are a number of good books. Rigo Tuku's book on Chenrezig is good Very good. There. That one, which I'm pretty sure we still have some in the bookstore. I used some sections out of Creation and Completion, which is Jamgyong Kontrol's text on Vajrayana practice in general. I used some from that. I would also recommend the Rigotoku's Confusion Arises as Wisdom. That one I think is quite helpful. Another book that is helpful is Lama Yeshe's Introduction to Tantra. Some of these will provide more general background, and you'll have to discern which things are additional details related to things from other practices and which are really core to Chenrezig practice. But these are all very helpful. And there are a number of other little commentaries. There's one by Khenpo Katar. There's a text on a whole series of stanzas by Patrul Rinpoche, and there's a commentary on that by Dilgo Khyentse. I think it's Enlightened Courage, I think is the name of it. So that you can go into a lot of these things. It helps to get some background. It can be daunting to try to get too much background, so I would just pick one book and kind of gently go through it and relate to it and pursue the practice in a kind of organized way with enough momentum so that you can actually feel like you remember what it was you did more or less the last time you did it. Yidam practice is hard to do very episodically. It's easy to lose track, and then it becomes kind of frustrating. So one of the reasons that I wanted to do just the root text was to avoid any implication that it was so long and complicated that you couldn't ever do it.
So would you say the root text, the short form, that's a daily practice, or is that something?
It could be, yeah, it could be. Yeah, it's the root text, so it contains everything that good old Tangtong Gyalpo, civil engineer extraordinaire. He's a remarkable person. He built iron bridges in Tibet that became the model for Europeans. European missionaries actually saw these things, sketched them, and went back to Europe and said, there's some dude in Tibet that's building suspension bridges. It's actually the origin of suspension bridges. There's a paper trail for that, and some of them still stand from the 1300s. Anyway, parenthetical. A long book on Tongten Gyalpo, which it's better than reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy if you want amazing stuff. And if it wasn't for the fact that he actually built bridges that are still standing, you just go, I don't know how to relate to this, but he's amazing. But he's the author of this root text. So one of my big heroes as a the patron saint of civil engineers. I thought of him a lot while working on the trusses up here. So I was having too much fun. I'm sorry I digressed, but yes, it's the root text. It's the root text, and that contains all the pieces. You can expand upon it, particularly if you add things like the 6-realm prayer, which then you can take that, and that really parses out things. One of the things that I didn't go into today was a number of the different renditions of the meaning of the mantra, or ways that you can focus your intention with the mantra. And one of the most common and I think most potent is associating the syllables of the mantra with different realms of experience. ranging from the godlike realm to a hellish existence. And so there are elements like that, and looking at the 6 realms of experience, and sort of to take that apart a little bit. The 6 realm prayer is really great for that. The 7 branch prayer, you could add other things in. You could add in a piece of Vajrasattva practice. You could add in mandala practice. You could add a lot of things that are often added to a yidam practice. But the root text is small enough that you shouldn't be able to avoid doing the practice with the sole excuse of it's way too long. So, and teachers, Khenpo Katar, Ringu Toku, I think both in their books say just doing it as simply as possible, relating very directly to Chenrezig. This is really good. Be simple about it, engaged in it in a heartfelt way. If it's just any one of the things you could say, well, if it's just an exercise in devotion, that's really good. If it's just an exercise in stabilizing the mind on, say, the Hriya, the heart, that's really good. Any aspect of it that you could settle on and say, I'm just going to look at this aspect or another aspect, really good. So it's there's the aspect of the relative bodhicitta, the encouraging us to think of loving kindness and compassion in this really vast, radiant way. That's really good. Seeing the appearance of all the experience that arises in there as the play of the mind, really good. All these things. And if you read some of the commentaries, you'll get a lot of things like that. Oh, just this, really good. Resting in the play of awareness and emptiness, I recite the 6 syllables. Patrul Rinpoche goes on and on. Do this, just then recite the 6 syllables. It's a great little book. I brought a bunch along, I'll just put them out here in a second. So that's kind of where I'm going to stop. If I had more energy, I would kind of drive us through another something, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know if you have the energy either. So I'm going to conclude here with the recitation of the Mahamudra Aspiration Prayer. And with that, I'll just note a couple of things that you could kind of look for in the practice. Looking at the union of appearance and mind, there stanzas like, looking at objects, there is no object, one sees mind. Looking at mind, there is no mind, it is empty of nature. Looking at both of these, dualistic clinging subsides on its own. May I realize sheer clarity, the way mind is. Or, when one looks again and again at the mind which cannot be looked at, and sees vividly for what it is, the meaning of not seeing, doubts about the meaning of is and is not are resolved. Without confusion, may my own face know itself. So some of these relate more to kind of the ultimate perspective. Also, while the nature of beings has always been full enlightenment, not realizing this, they wander in endless samsara. For the boundless suffering of sentient beings, may overwhelming compassion be born in my being. While such compassion is active and immediate, in the moment of compassion, its essential emptiness is nakedly clear. This conjunction is the undeviating supreme path. Inseparable from it, may I meditate day and night. So there's some, we can read many things from different sides of the relative or ultimate bodhicitta teachings, and in the practice of Chenrezig, if we lean into it, we'll be able to find echoes of these things throughout. So, since the Mahamudra aspiration prayer is one of the key aspiration prayers for Kagyus, and it's one that we do a lot, I think it's a nice place to end up. Dora, would you lead?
Namo Guru,
Gurus and Yidams, deities of the mandala, Buddhas of the 3 times and 10 directions, and your children, consider me with kindness. Grant your blessing that all my wishes be realized. Sprung from the snow mountain of the pure actions and intentions, mine and those of all sentient beings without limit, may the river of virtue undefiled by the 3 spheres flow into the ocean of the 4 bodies of Buddha. As long as I have not realized this, through all my lifetimes, birth after birth, may not even the words for defilement and suffering be heard, and may I enjoy the prosperity of oceans of happiness and virtue. Having obtained this excellent, free, and well-favored life, along with faith, energy, and intelligence, having attended a worthy master and received the pith of the sacred instructions, may I practice the sacred Dharma properly in all my lives without interruption. The study of scriptures frees one from the veil of ignorance. The contemplation of oral instructions overcomes the darkness of doubt. Light born of meditation illuminates the way things are. May the radiance of the 3 wisdoms increase. The significance of the ground is the 2 truths, free from the extremes of eternalism and nihilism. The excellent path, the 2 accumulations, free from the extremes of assumption and denial. The result obtained is the 2 benefits, free from the extremes of existence and peace. May I meet the Dharma which is free from error. The ground of refinement is mind itself, indivisible luminosity and emptiness. The refining, the great Vajra composure of Mahamudra. What is to be refined, the incidental stains of confusion. The result of refining the unstained Dharmakaya, may I realize it. Confidence in outlook is cutting assumptions about the ground. The key to meditation is maintaining that without distraction. The supreme activity is to exercise the sense of meditation in everything. May I have confidence in outlook, meditation, and activity. All dharmas are projections of the mind. As for mind, there is no mind. Mind's nature is empty. Empty and immediate, mind appears as everything. Investigating it well, may I settle the basic points. Appearances which never existed in themselves have been confused as objects. Awareness itself, because of ignorance, has been confused as a self. Through the power of dualistic fixation, I wander in the realm of existence. May ignorance and confusion be completely resolved. It doesn't exist, even Buddhas do not see it. It doesn't not exist, it is the origin of samsara and nirvana. No contradiction, conjunction, the middle way. May I realize the pure being of mind, free of extremes. If one says it is this, nothing has been posited. If one says it is not this, nothing has been denied. Unconditioned pure being transcends intellect.
May I gain conviction in the ultimate position. Not realizing it, one circles in the ocean of samsara. Realizing it, Buddha isn't anywhere else. It is everything, it isn't anything, none of this. Pure being, the basis of everything, may I see any misunderstanding here? Since appearance is mind and emptiness is mind, since realization is mind and delusion is mind, since arising is mind and cessation is mind, may all assumptions about mind be eliminated, unpolluted by meditation with intellectual efforts, undisturbed by the winds of everyday affairs, not manipulating, knowing how to let what is true be itself. May I become skilled in this practice of mind and maintain it. The waves of subtle and coarse thoughts calm down in their own ground. Motionless, the river of mind abides naturally, free from the contaminations of dullness and torpor. May I establish the still ocean of shamatha. When one looks again and again at the mind which cannot be looked at, and sees vividly for what it is the meaning of not seeing, doubts about the meaning of is and is not are resolved. Without confusion may my own face know itself. Looking at objects, there is no object, one sees mind. Looking at mind, there is no mind, it is empty of nature. Looking at both of these, dualistic clinging subsides on its own. May I realize sheer clarity, the way mind is. Free from mental constructions, it is called Mahamudra. Free from extremes, it is called Madhyamaka. Everything complete here, it is also called Mahāti. May I attain the confidence that, in understanding one, all are realized. The great bliss of non-attachment is continuous. Sheer clarity without fixations is free of obscurations. Passing beyond intellect, non-thought is naturally present. May these experiences continually arise without effort. Attachment to good and fixation on experience subside on their own. Confusion and evil concepts are cleared away in the realm of ultimate nature. In the ordinary mind, there is no rejection or acceptance, no separation or attainment. May I realize the truth of pure being, complete simplicity. While the nature of beings has always been full enlightenment, not realizing this, they wander in endless samsara. For the boundless suffering of sentient beings, may overwhelming compassion be born in my being. While such compassion is active and immediate, in the moment of compassion, its essential emptiness is nakedly clear. This conjunction is the undeviating supreme path. Inseparable from it, may I meditate day and night. From the power of meditation come eyes and actual knowledge. Sentient beings are ripened and domains of enlightenment refined. Aspirations for the realization of all aspects of Buddhahood are fulfilled. May I complete these three: fulfillment, ripening, and refinement, and become Buddha. By the compassion of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, and the power of whatever pure virtue there may be, may my wishes and those of all beings be fulfilled as we ask in this way.
Thank you all.